All right, well, welcome back. Been a nice week outside, and I've been trying to help Mrs. Ohio MM do some things around out in the yard between picking away at the A4T. But today was a good day because got a box of goodies from Welter's. Got it's a hose for the from the water pump on the 950. Same hose for the A4T, which is a little bit different size. Two bottom radiator hoses, one for the A4T, one for the 950. I got the gaskets here for the water manifolds, and I also got the seals for that hydraulic box there underneath where those are leaking, so I can replace those. I got a cylinder rebuild kit for both sides of the 3-point cylinder on the back, and I got one seal kit for the steering cylinders, which has a broken seal in it. But I needed this really bad because we're gonna just make kits. This is the only one Welter's had. They sourced another one. Then when they pulled the kit, I guess all of the seals in that were falling apart, which these all look like they're not in good shape. But now that we have this, we can go out and match that up to the seals that actually work, and we'll have that, and I'll have those numbers, so if anybody ever needs those, I'll have those. So I was able to pick up all those things today, and I'm glad because now I can keep working. So I stopped the video real quick while I walked over here. So it's a good day because I got all those parts. It's not a good day when you take the radiator for the A4T and the oil coolers to the radiator shop to have them looked at, and you get a call, and the guy says, do you want the good news or the bad news? And I said, well, just throw the bad news on me first. And he said, well, after we boiled out the radiator, it leaks like Swiss cheese. And I was like, wasn't leaking before. He goes, yeah. That's what boiling out does. Gets all the dirt and everything out of there, and then it leaks like Swiss cheese. He says it needs to be record. So it's been a while since I've had anything record, and I got some sticker shock today. It's going to be very expensive to record it. So one hydraulic oil cooler had a leak in it. They got that fixed. The other one was good. The other one goes with the other A4T. That I'll be putting together when I put the engine in. So anyway, I got thinking, well, when I picked up some of these parts this summer, I got another radiator. I got a radiator off of 2150. And I'm like, cool. I'm gonna go home and see if that will work. And it doesn't. I'm kind of disappointed because now I'm gonna have to pay for a very expensive recore. But as you can see, I wedged it in here, but these holes on both sides, those 6 bolt holes, have to line up, and I think you can see that they are not even close. What's worse is I measured between my bolt holes where this piece mounts and up also on the front of the tractor there, and we're already wider, so this radiator's too wide. It will not work. And I thought I had when I got this, I thought, well, I have a spare radiator for the A4Ts. And how's that saying go? Not so fast. But anyway, that's my day so far as this goes. So kinda not, I got a call in the morning and give them a deposit on the core because it costs so much. They want a deposit before they do it. But you got to do it. I mean, how else are you gonna, what are you gonna do? Just get it record. Oh well. I did also this week, I finished my wiring and I kind of changed some things around. I got some coated wire. Makes it look a little bit neater going up in there, and I got everything wired up and looking good. I did the same thing in this area too. The wire comes up. I did shrink wrap fittings. Everything's there. So that's where I'm at on things. I just wanted to give a quick update. I don't know that I'll film much more tonight, but this weekend I'm going to really be hammering away at trying to get things ready to put hoses on this. One thing I did do last night is I did get these belt's loose. The problem is the big belt that goes down to the steering pump, if you can see that, is, so I tried to loosen the steering pump. It's kind of up against the oil pan, so I think I'm going to have to, I don't know if it's going to be light enough down here for you to see. There's a bolt on this side to take it loose. I think if you can see this thing, there's a hole there where I'm going to guess the pump was initially mounted. Looks like they moved it over there. That side's got a slotted bolt in it, and then this has got 2 holes in it, and it's in the lower. So I'm going to probably have to take that loose in order to get enough play in order to get that belt off. But while I'm here, I got to do that belt. So just I'm bleeding money right now on this thing. It's all right. It's worth it. It makes in the end, it'll make this a very solid, user, take it out in the field and use it tractor. But a little bit of oh crapness today of, I wasn't expecting the radiator to be that way. So, all right, one of the things I think I'm going to try to do also is this water manifold back here. I'm going to try to get it off with the pump and the line still on. I just got to take the fuel filters off, and there's a couple other things that I get out of the way, and I think I can take the bolts out, and then I can finagle it back just a little, get this hose off, and then bring it out the front and clean up where the gaskets go, get everything cleaned up, get my new hoses set, and then put it back in there and get everything reset. So that's one of the things I got to do. I realize there's another hose up there that I got to replace, and I got to do these. So that's my goal, is if this weekend, if I can get all these hoses done. Oliver Phil's going to be working on making videos and making my hydraulic hoses on this. And yeah, I'm slowly chip away and get as much done on this thing as I can, so that when he gets my hydraulic hoses done, then now that I have the kits for the cylinders, he'll be able to rebuild my cylinders, get the cylinders back on, and the fuel tank is at the shop to get a new bottom put in it. Those seals that I were talking about go there. I can get those in, and then hopefully here soon this thing starts going back together. I've got hydraulic couplers on order for back there, so slowly but surely we're going to get this thing going. It's taking a little longer than I expected, but I didn't expect to run into some of the things that I did. And I still need to call a shop about glass, which is going to be another expense. But again, this thing should be pretty bulletproof and pretty nice when I'm done with it. So, okay, enough of me just rambling and explaining. That's disappointing. What's going on here? That's really disappointing. Just saying. But shrug it off, move on. It's only money, and yeah, whoever said that, they're not as tight as I am. Anyway, all right. Well, it's Saturday morning, and spent some time at Napa this morning, getting all the hoses I need to replace all the rubber around the engine. I have to cut all that to length. I also took belts along to match up belts. I got all the belts off. This one is not a cheap one. I guess I could have gone with 3 individual belts, but I wanted to stay more original. And I got a bunch of hose clamps, some other fittings, but I got constant tension hose clamps because obviously they had doubled up close clamps on a lot of this stuff, and so I'd rather spend a little bit more money, get a better clamp, and hopefully not have that. One of the things I have to do today is, when I took this hose off, this unceremoniously snapped off very easily. This goes between the oil cooler and the water manifold up here, which I've got the water manifold kind of loose, but I need to take off all the injection lines. But anyway, so I got to work on getting the rest of that out of there, which I'm going to work on it with a hacksaw blade, and I don't have an easy out that big. And then I will use a hammer and a chisel probably to, after I get cut through it with a hacksaw blade. I don't think that metal's going to be very hard. It's obviously, you can see it's kind of oblong, pretty soft. I got to try to get a new one of those. They gave me one that's a brass one. I hope it fits, with not very many threads left on there to measure. I'm hoping what I got works. And what else? Yeah, that's the first thing at hand. Then probably the injection lines out of the way so that I can get that water manifold out. I can't get it out without moving those lines. I don't want to mess up the lines, and it's just too tight. And I'll bring it out the front, clean up all these areas here, all the old gasket off on both sides. I got new gaskets from Welter's. Put all that, get all that back on, put my new hoses on, including the one up here, clamps, and then I should, that, at least that part will be done. Oliver Phil's busy making hydraulic hoses today. And yeah, so just picking away at this thing slowly but surely. So we'll keep working on it today and see how far we get to go. That's where that big belt goes, is around there, and it goes down to the hydraulic, or the power steering pump pulley, which I had to put a floor jack down there to push up on that to get enough slack to get that belt off. So that's what we got there. And yeah, I'm just gonna, like I said, pick away at things today and try to get a lot of these hoses replaced and get things to the point that when I get the radiator back, I can get it back in the frame here, and I can get the tank back on and get the whole front end of this done, so that when Phil gets my hydraulic hoses back, I can hook them up and go from there. So, all right, I will update you here in a little bit. Here's the hose that came off the front of that. I had to cut it off to get it out of there, and then here's my bottom radiator hose. So if you can hear me, I'm still a little nasally from this stupid cold that I had. It's just hanging on. But yeah, I'm gonna keep picking away at this tractor. So I used a Sawzall blade to get in there and work on that, and it came out like this. I don't know where the rest of it went. It's like it disappeared, I guess. I don't know. So here's the old one. Here's the new one. I actually just had to cut this down just a little bit, because when I brought it back here to put it in, if I try to thread that in, if you can see, as I was bringing it around when it was the size that I got it, it was hitting there and I couldn't put it on. So I'm gonna put some pipe dope on this, pretty heavy pipe dope, and screw this in there, and then that will be taken care of. And then, like I said, I'm gonna work on those diesel injector lines. They have to come off anyway, because we have to take the pump off. So I'm gonna label them and then pull them off, and then I can get the water manifold out of there and keep picking away at this. I keep saying keep picking away. I'm gonna keep working on this. How's that? Is that better? I don't know. We're gonna get this thing back running here one of these days. That worked, and we got the new piece in there. And so now I'm gonna have to take this off, this clamp, and then there's a clamp up here. And then I'll label my lines and start taking them off one by one and storing them someplace very safe. And when that's out of the way, we'll work on getting this out. All right, gotta get each one of my lines labeled. Number 1 comes down, loops around, comes around anyway. It ends up here on the pump. So that's important, because when we go to take this off, we'll rotate the engine until the hole is lined up with number 1, and then we'll know exactly where to time it to put it back on. So that was the most important one. So what I'll do now is I got my line wrench here. I'll go around, I will take each one of these lines off very carefully and then store them away where they will be safe until we go to put them back on. And but that's the way that I did. I labeled them with tape, and I made a diagram on my notepad showing from the back, if you were looking at it from the back. So I labeled this and I drew a circle, and I put 1, 2's down here. I think 3 is up here, 4, 5, and then 6 is opposite of 1. So that's how I did it. I don't know if it's right or not, but that's what I'm doing. And I'm gonna go work on getting these lines off. All right, I got all the lines off. Here's the bolts that went into the pump. I'm gonna be getting those in a bag to protect them. I've got all the ports covered up with a rag, and I did the same thing up top, if you can see, just to make sure no dirt gets in there. You can see I already started moving the manifold out, but I'll get it out of the way next, clean everything up, and work on getting new gaskets on, new hoses on, my clamps, getting everything set up the way that it should be. And it was interesting getting the injection lines out. I mean, it's kind of, they go up behind the intake manifold and kind of curve around, so you got to kind of, it's an art to get them out carefully. So I got those out carefully. I also want to mention that so this is Saturday, I guess it was Thursday night, we had tornadoes blow through. We were here and we knew that storms were coming, so we were watching. I came in from out here working, and the weather was on, and they were doing the nonstop weather. But anyway, it started out in Western Ohio, out by where Nick, Ohio MM lives. I actually texted his mom, and she said he was ready to head to the basement. He had a bottle of water, a Field and Stream, and a blanket. He was ready to go down to the basement, but it missed them, but it went just past them and hit an area called Indian Lake. It's a lake up there, resort place in the summer, so there's a lot of mobile homes and trailers, and unfortunately hit that really hard. The tornado touched down there, and 3 people died, and there were a lot of people hurt. And then we were watching it come our way, and it looked like it was coming straight for us, so I tried to prep everything the best I could. Fortunately, it dipped just south of us. We only had rain here, but my buddy Rob in town, he had 2 inches of hail. And then just south of town, Delaware that is, it caused a lot of damage, uprooted a lot of trees. I don't know if they actually said the tornado touched down, but there's an area over around Alum Creek, which is a state reservoir, that it tore out a lot of stuff, tore some roofs off. It was high winds, if nothing else. So we were very, very lucky here. I'm very sorry for the people that passed in Western Ohio there around Indian Lake, and everybody had damage. So everybody's just kind of been on edge the last few days, cleaning up after that. But it's that time of the year, and especially here in Ohio, where you have these warm days and a cold front comes through, and when it hails, and you know, we get these really bad storms, and we're not the only ones. I mean, Michigan, and you know, there's a lot of other states around that get it, but we know that that's just that time of year here. So I'm glad Nick, Ohio MM, and the family out in that part of the state were all good, because it's where it was really brewing up, and I thought they were going to get hammered, but fortunately they didn't. So you know, we called even next door to neighbor Carl. They don't have a basement, and they came over and hung out with us for a bit just to make sure that if we needed to get to the basement, we could. So better safe than sorry, especially when it comes to tornadoes. All right, I'm gonna keep going on this. All right, so I used the angle grinder there, and I cleaned up the side of the water manifold, and then I did the same to all the blocks. So I went down through and cleaned them up. I actually had to use a razor knife a little bit on there because I couldn't get all the way in there. And then I also cleaned up some of this stuff just a little bit to because I got to slip water hoses back on there. So I'm going to get my gaskets out. I'm going to do some checking here on how to best put all this back together and get my hose cut for that side, get my hose out for this side, and then see about getting everything put back together. I'm a little wondering how I'm going to get all the gaskets in there with then sliding the manifold in and knock everything apart. But I'm going to get that figured out here in just a minute. All right, it's been a long day. I didn't film a lot of this because yeah, it was not probably fun to watch, but got the manifold on, got the new hose on there, put the new hose on the hydraulic line that goes there. I'm using constant tension clamps on my hydraulic stuff because I don't want to deal with leaks. I got the new hoses on here on that water line that goes to the oil cooler, new clamp there. This hydraulic line that goes up to the tank, I've got the hose on there, but everything's loose because I don't know when I have to hook it up for. I put the new rubber line in between where it goes, the coolant goes over to that side. I got one belt on because that's all they had. Here you can see a little bit better. That's where that hose is, comes over here, goes to the thermostat. I replumbed my water heater, so now it's going to come out of that block. I was going to put it in that block, but there's not enough room between the starter, so it's going to come out of here, go down, come up, and go into the front cylinder. It should then circulate around and get all of them. I just messed with that today. I ran out of hose. I got the wrong hose, so I need one more hose to complete that. I cut off that. Right down there is a extra battery tray they had on here. I need to get a battery tray for this battery to lock those down. And what else did I do? On that cylinder they had the spigot on there and all the hoses that run back to the heater in the cab, so I took that off, and there's the spigot, the whole apparatus they had there. I cut and prepped lines, and then I labeled them. So those are the new lines, those are the old lines. I put a new line and the clamps on there. That goes to the hydraulic cooler. I have got the wrong hose clamps for my bigger hoses, so I got to go to Napa and get the right ones. I re-get those. I don't know that that's really a word, but and then I got a bunch of old hoses just laying here that I need to throw in the trash, and some old clamps over there because I'm replacing all my clamps. But yeah, this is where the water heater was, so I'm going to remove that, take out those lines because I'm not going to use that. The one thing I did, and some people are probably not going to like it, but so that used to come up and then go into the bottom of the water pump here. Well, I don't know if at some point I'm going to want to replumb heat into the cab. So, and this is really hard. Once you get everything back on, it's going to be really difficult to get to. So I just put a new line, just a stubby line with a plug in it to there. I can always splice in and take things back, but that's going to be a real pain to do in the future. So that's what I came up with for now. Napa had to order the special belt there for the, there's 3 belts there. That'll be coming in this week. And yeah, but I've made a lot of headway, not, maybe as much. I want to clean all this off. I just put a bunch of tools away, but tomorrow this is all going to get clean. All this crap is going to get cleaned off there. At some point, I'm going to get real dirty and crawl underneath and do a bunch of scraping underneath there and knock a bunch of that old grease out while it's sitting here. And I'm almost to the point where I can't do a whole lot more while I'm waiting on Radiator and everything. I figure it's a good time to get that done. So all in all, not a bad day. Tomorrow I'm going to come back out and keep picking away. So we'll pick up with this again tomorrow and see how much more we can get done this weekend. And yeah, see you tomorrow. All right, it's Sunday. Just went over and helped my buddy Derek. He's got a John Deere 2020 and he was having issues with the throttle. It just wouldn't stay at the same speed. So went over and helped him pull it apart. Ended up kind of messing up some of the pieces, so he's got to order parts. But it's a John Deere, so he can basically buy that whole tractor new in parts if he needs to. I did, before I went over there, I cleaned off this area up here. Finally got around to that. But I think what I'm going to do first off today is I'm going to pull out this heater. I'm going to get this heater out and out of the way. It doesn't need to be in there. And then I'm going to figure out what's next. Because I'm like, there's still a lot to do on this. It's just a matter of, I was in a great groove yesterday of like one thing to the next thing. And then today I'm like, okay, what is it that I'm doing next? So no big deal. I'll just keep picking away at it. All right, so that wasn't so bad. Frees up a lot of space here in the cab now with that gone. And pulled out both lines. So there's everything I pulled out. There were 3 bolts holding this down. And then the 2 lines going through. So if anybody's looking for a good cab heater, a vintage cab heater, Arin, I guess is what that name is. Yeah, like I've got one here, slightly used. Sure, a coat of paint and it'll be spot on. Probably not. So got that out and got the lines out of the way. I think this was a wire they had running for something. I'll have to cut that out. So that's done. I think one of the things I'm going to do today, because I've been threatening to do it, so I'm going to get underneath here and I'm going to clean up all of what I've already got on the ground, kind of dry things up, and then I'm going to crawl underneath and get a lot of the muck out from underneath here where the steering cylinders were. That way when Oliver Phil gets them done, it will be easy for me to install things and not be down there with 2 inches of gunk on stuff. So when I get under there, I'll take the camera with me, show you what I'm dealing with, and we'll get that cleaned out and you'll get to see how much crap I get out of there. But I need to, so I'm not laying in a bunch of crap. I'm going to clean up what's on the ground right now, and then I'll crawl under there and do it. All right, I've wedged myself back down underneath. I'm right next to the drop box. My head's kind of shoved up in there. I've got my raincoat back on, but when I said I need to get in here to clean stuff out, this is what I'm talking about. So that's a big glob of 53 years of, or 53 years of grease and dirt. And so just trying to, I don't know if I was showing that very well, but anyway, just getting the worst of that out of here. And as thick can be. So, and then look at that green paint. I don't know how well I'm actually showing you guys what I'm doing here, because it's hard to scrape and film. So anyway, I'm gonna work on that side and then I'm gonna flip around and do the other side. But you can just see how nasty it is under here. So I guess most people might not do this. This is just me. I prefer when I get down to work on things that I'm not messing with this, and this has been bugging me. So I'm gonna clean it up because I mean, there's other things I can be working on, but this was one of the, like I said, it's been bugging me, so I'm gonna do it. All right, I'm gonna set down the camera so I can work at this a little bit harder, and this is really uncomfortable the way I'm positioned here, so it's hard to do both. All right, side one done. I'll try to swing the light around, not blind you, but much better than what it was. As comparison, here's the other side that I'm about ready to do. So yeah, but there's the product of side one. Quite a bit of stuff there, and I'm gonna dump that and then take that back down underneath with me to fill up with the thickest stuff, and we'll clean out the other side. I had to stop, of all things, a chunk flew back at me, went down my shirt all the way to my belly button. I could feel it against my skin. I was like, all right, I gotta get out and get that off, because that's really annoying. All right, this side wasn't as bad, but I got most of this cleaned out, a lot less in the pan. So I kind of even tried to go up above a little, but there's just a lot to have raining down on you. So yeah, I think I'm done with this for now. So we'll clean up, we'll sweep up, and then see what else I can get done today. All right, I've kind of decided next thing's next. This cable is froze up from the cab. This goes down to, I'm guessing, the draft control. And I tried to lube it, that didn't work. Comes up, goes into the cab, up under there. I probably need to get a light in order to show you that, but comes up through and goes to the lever, which is right here. But the lever, the cable will move, which is weird. It moves in there just like an 1/8 of an inch, but it won't, that's all it will move. So there's a nut down here holding where it comes through. So I'm gonna take that off. I gotta knock out the cotter pin up there and see if I can get this thing out. Get you guys set up to kind of see what I'm doing maybe. Then that way I can at least play around with and see if I can figure out why this thing isn't, of course the cotter pin's rusted in there. And, all right, I'm gonna have to maneuver around here a little bit to do that, and the camera's right in the way where I need to be. So I'll bring you back in a couple minutes here. All right, in the middle of all that, Oliver Phil called and we got in a long conversation about my hydraulic hoses, which he's making a video about. So if you haven't checked out Oliver Phil yet, he's making a video on that. But got the cable out, and I'm gonna see. Yeah, it's not budging, so it's just weird. I don't know why, but I'm gonna have to mess with this here and see if I can figure out a way to hold it still and work it and see if I can free this thing up. I just don't know. Everything, all the other ones are free. This one doesn't look rusty. The casing on the whole thing is not broken, so I'm gonna have to play with this a little bit and see if we can figure out why it's fighting me. All right, this is the cab side. I put it in the vise, trying to put penetrant down it. Got the other end down here. And if I had to guess, this end is rusted because there was some nasty, rusty looking stuff that came out of there. I don't know, but my plan is just this week to keep putting penetrant in that end and see if it will go all the way down through and get to my point. But I put both ends in the vise here to hold it, put vice grips on the other end, yanked on it, did some different things. No luck. So it's froze. I don't even know where I would find another one of these. So I imagine somebody's got them, but yeah, that's where I'm at right now with the cable. Not making much progress there. Just like I said, I thought about doing my acetone ATF combo, but then I didn't know how acetone would do in this plastic covering that's on it. It might start eating it, and I don't really want to do that. So I guess I'll just do it the slow way, which is angry farmer and making a mess of all of it that doesn't go down the hole. I think they make cable lubers that somehow you clamp on there and shove lube down in there, but I don't have one of those. I might have to look into them. So I'm gonna do a couple more things here. I need to actually assess to see how much more I can get done today, or if that's going to be about it for this video. I made such great progress yesterday, and today has not been as fruitful. But you know, talking to Phil, we did discuss, he's getting my fittings back here, so we discussed the right fittings. We discussed how we were going to fit all those together. As far as where they couple up in there, just checking, he wanted to make sure that everything was right. And then he also had a question because I didn't write a line underneath my 6 and 9, so he didn't know which one was which on my labeling. So I was able to go to my list and read off and figure out what goes where. So in order to get that cable out, by the way, there is a little fitting there that bolts there that kind of holds those cables, but I took that off in order to get that cable off. And I did play with, after I got the heater out, I tried to mess with the emergency brake, but that cable's froze up too. That's about all I can get out of that handle, so I have no emergency brake. So I need to figure that out also at some point. And I would, you know, be nice to have an emergency brake with this thing, I guess. And they moved this, so this handle should be pointing directly towards us, but they rotated this when they put that heater in here, because then it couldn't go that way. So I don't know if I'm going to leave it like this or remove it. I could probably, when this is done, make a little buddy seat that would fit in there. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. And yeah, I'm just gonna stop filming here for a minute and assess where we're at. I did talk to Phil, I guess, when we were on the phone, because this return line coming out of the pump, it's got that fitting on it, and then the fuel line going back has a press fitting on it, and I want to replace this line because this line is not in great shape. So he said that's not a problem. Actually, he showed me, we were FaceTiming, he showed me he has the right fittings to do that, so we'll run a new fuel line back and you know, get all that replaced also. Like, man, when we're done with this thing, it should be good to go without any issues. I really hope so. All right, let me assess some things here real quick. Well, I think this is going to be it for the video. I got to haul horse manure and do some other things today with the time I have left. So this might be a shorter video and obviously not super exciting, but I did get quite a bit done on this. Not as maybe as much as it looks like, but in my mind, I got quite a bit done because this will make things a lot easier. One thing I was thinking about today on the 1355 out there, what it doesn't have that I'm going to need is this extra pulley on the front of it for the power steering pump. I don't know if I mentioned that before. So before we put that in the other A4T, that motor. I'm gonna have to find one of those or figure out how. I don't know. That's something I'm gonna have to research because I need a way to drive the power steering pump. So, and then Phil was asking, we were on the phone about the alternator, and it's a little noisy, but we know it wasn't magnetizing when we last had it running, so it's probably not charging. He's gonna make me new battery cables too. I'm gonna obviously clean those up, which I think I've talked about before, clean all that up. So I'll quit babbling here, and I appreciate everybody watching. I hope you, although this wasn't super exciting, I hope that this helped help somebody if you're doing this stuff to see how I'm doing it. And we will get back to work on this hopefully next weekend. Phil had a heap of hydraulic lines done, so hopefully I'll be putting hydraulic lines back on this soon. And this week, maybe by the end of the week, I'll be getting my radiator back. And so we'll just see how all that goes. So thanks again for watching. Make comments if you want, and please like and subscribe, and we'll see you at the next video.